Toothworms and Spider Juice, Chapter 4, read by Natalie Barton. After the Roman Empire collapsed in AD 476, much of the medical and dental knowledge gained in ancient times was forgotten in Europe. Only the belief of the toothworm persisted as scientific fact. Most of the high-quality physicians in the Middle Ages were either Muslim or Jewish. The Arabs and the Jews were the only ones who preserved the scientific learning of the ancients, and using this knowledge, they were able to make many of their own advances in medical and dental techniques. One of the greatest Arabian surgeons was Abdul Qasim, about 936 through 1013, who was called Albucasis in the West. He contributed much to the dental science by concluding that calculus on the teeth was the major cause of periodontal disease and must be scaled off. He designed special instruments and methods to scale off the deposits. Albucasis also developed better and safer ways to extract a tooth by making fine tools, including elevators, forceps, and lancets for loosening the gums. During the Middle Ages, from the 5th century to the 15th, surgeons who treated teeth were called Dentatores. They specialized in removing decay from teeth, filled cavities with ground bone, repaired loose teeth with metal bindings, did extractions, and made partial dentures. But these surgeons were hard to come by, and only the wealthy could afford the cost of a real dentatore. Most of the people living in the Middle Ages used one of the following groups of people for extractions: monks and priests, barbers and barber surgeons, or tooth drawers. Monks and priests. In Europe during the Dark Ages, the Catholic Church took control of thought and learning. The Church Fathers held to the belief that any illness or toothache was the result of punishment from God and not from natural causes. Because there was a need, monks and priests began to help the ill by performing surgery and doing tooth extractions. But the Church Fathers felt that the monks were spending too much time on medicine and not enough on clerical duties, so in the 12th century they were forbidden to do any more surgery. Barbers and barber surgeons. Since monks were not allowed to practice medicine and dentistry anymore, this duty was assumed by the barbers who had assisted the monks in their surgical procedures. Barbers became a versatile group in the Middle Ages and in later centuries. In addition to shaving beards and cutting hair, they lanced abscesses, did bloodletting, gave enemas, and extracted teeth. Some of these barbers liked working on teeth and other ailments so much that they became barber surgeons. To advertise their services of bloodletting, they displayed buckets of fresh blood on their windows. When the blood congealed, it was poured into the street, where it spoiled. In later centuries, instead of using real blood, red, symbolizing blood, and white poles were displayed in front of barber surgeons' shops to let people know that they did bloodletting. There was a class distinction between the different medical professions. Many physicians looked down on surgeons. They considered surgery or body cutting akin to the work of a butcher, a manual job beneath their dignity. Trained surgeons, like Albucasis the Arab, looked down on barber surgeons, and barber surgeons, in turn, considered regular barbers beneath them. Tooth drawers. Tradesmen who specialized in pulling teeth were called tooth drawers. They traveled from town to town and extracted teeth in outdoor booths and on stages at fairs or markets. The tooth drawers distinguished themselves from other tradesmen by the way they dressed, wearing pointed caps and necklaces made of teeth they had pulled. Going to a tooth drawer for an extraction was not taken lightly. People had to be in terrible agony before letting a tooth drawer touch them. Tooth drawers had a reputation for being rough when extracting a tooth. Many of them were charlatans and quacks who pretended to have great surgical and dental skills when they had little. Dishonest tooth drawers were in the habit of tricking the public in order to gain patients. When arriving in a new town, they would gather a crowd around them to demonstrate how gentle they were. The tooth drawer would call up a tooth sufferer onto the stage. Within minutes after the tooth drawer had put his hands inside the person's mouth, the sufferer was spitting out a bloody tooth. It looked so easy, but what the crowd didn't know was that the sufferer had been paid to pretend he had a toothache. The tooth drawer had hidden a tooth in his hand, smeared with chicken blood, that had been quietly dropped into the actor's mouth. When a real sufferer went up on the stage, he found himself withering in pain and screaming at the tooth drawer's rough methods, but the crowd was usually so loud that he couldn't be heard. Even the honest tooth drawers had limited skills and were capable of tearing large pieces of bone off with a tooth, breaking jaws, and causing facial deformities.